Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. You know, having spent years mentoring young adults, watching so many of you step bravely into the workforce, cashing those very first paychecks, and really just starting to build your lives, I wanted to share something absolutely fascinating with you today. We're going to unpack a life-changing allegory. It starts off sounding like a simple fiction, but it actually holds this incredibly profound truth about how we live, what we chase, and honestly, what actually matters. So let's just jump right in.
I want you to imagine something for a second. Picture stepping into a shopping center that is so perfectly tailored to your every single wish that it completely erases your desire to ever go home. Like every time you even think about heading for the exit, something shiny and new catches your eye and it just pulls you right back in. It sounds like a total dream, right? But as you'll see from the story we're breaking down today, this dream can warp into a nightmare real quick.
Which brings us to Section 1. Welcome to the Magical Mall.
Okay, so our story starts with a family who gets this highly personalized, super alluring newspaper ad for a brand new mall just outside the city. They decide to drive over, walk through the doors, and it is a magical wonderland. Shops, amazing clothes, fun zones, the whole shebang. But here is where the trap snaps shut. After hours of shopping, the narrator thinks, all right, we're finally ready to go. But the family? No way. They absolutely refuse to leave. They actually drag the narrator back to the exact same shops they were just in. And magically, those shops have completely restocked. A fresh batch of incredible clothes and shoes has just miraculously appeared out of nowhere. And boom, the family's cravings instantly reset. It's like they just walked through the doors for the first time. They are stuck in this endless loop, craving, buying, restocking, and repeating it forever.
And guys, this loop takes a massive emotional toll. Inside this fictional mall, these shoppers are riding a wild emotional roller coaster based entirely on temporary goods. I mean, they experience this intense sky-high joy when they buy something new, but then if a brand new shoe gets a tiny tear, it plunges them into devastating sadness. We're talking bitter conflicts, people literally fighting each other over items that won't even last. Their entire emotional state is dictated by these worldly attachments, completely masking the crazy fact that they are trapped in this space. And the one thing every single person there has in common, a stubborn, absolute refusal to leave. They are utterly convinced this mall is the only place to be.
Moving on to Section 2, the Silent Observer's Awakening.
So instead of getting caught up in the buying frenzy, our narrator steps back. They become a silent observer. And while the family and all these familiar faces in the crowd are just blindly spinning in this consumer trance, the narrator wakes up. They suddenly realize that what felt like just a short afternoon shopping trip is somehow warped. It actually feels like they've been trapped in this building for months. They're begging their family to leave, reminding them, hey, we have a home outside of this. But the family is perfectly content, and this is the crucial turning point. The narrator says, I realize that there is something wrong in this mall. People, they are keep spinning, they keep doing same things, and they are repeating themselves. The illusion completely shatters. They see the shoppers for what they really are, trapped by their own endless desires, bouncing from store to store, having entirely forgotten that they don't actually belong there.
But the real, dark reality of the mall drops when the narrator notices they aren't the only ones watching. There are these mysterious guards actively patrolling the floors, keeping a very close eye on everyone. And let me tell you, these guards are not there for customer service. They are actively monitoring the crowds to see who has run out of money, who stopped enjoying the mall, or who has basically just outlived their usefulness to the establishment.
The removal process is chilling. Sometimes it's subtle. A guard will politely ask a shopper to step out. The shopper might argue, pleading to stay and check out just one more store, but the guards are super blunt. No, you are done, you need to go out. Other times, it is absolutely brutal. Guards will physically grab someone, throw them into a cart, and literally toss them out of the building. But you want to know the most jarring part of this whole scene? The rest of the shoppers completely ignore it. They'll watch someone get brutally dragged away and then literally just turn around and go back to browsing. They are willfully blinding themselves to the reality of the mall just so they can keep consuming.
All right, that brings us to Section 3, Maya, the ultimate real-life analogy. Okay, my young professionals, it is time to pull back the curtain. Why on earth am I sharing this creepy story about an endless shopping center with you? Because this whole thing is actually a profound historical allegory. To really get it, we have to look at ancient Eastern and Vedic philosophy, specifically this concept called Maya. Historically, Maya describes the material world, our physical, everyday reality, as a temporary illusion. It's essentially a giant labyrinth of sights, sounds, and worldly varieties specifically designed to distract us from our true spiritual reality. So that mall, with its magically restocking shelves and endless emotional roller coaster, it is the absolute perfect modern representation of Maya.
Let's actually map this out side by side because it's brilliant. On the left, we've got our fiction, and on the right, our reality. That magical mall? Yeah, that's planet Earth. The endless goods and fun zones keeping the family distracted? That represents Maya, our worldly desires for social status, the perfect apartment, that next big promotion. Remember that personalized, targeted ad that arrived at the narrator's house? That represents nature's selection, literally the spark of life inviting us into this world. And those terrifying guards with their carts? That's nature's exit strategy. Fatal accidents, diseases, the undeniable reality of death. Just like the mall decides when you're done shopping, nature eventually decides when your time on Earth is over. And it doesn't care if you're ready to leave or not.
Which leads us to our final section, practicing purposeful detachment.
Look, as you step into the workforce, getting your first real taste of income and independence, the temptations of the mall are going to be everywhere. You're going to be so tempted to define your entire worth by your job title, the car you drive, or the brands you wear. So how do we navigate this without getting trapped? The secret is practicing purposeful detachment. Now, you are totally allowed to enjoy the experience. Buy the iced coffee, enjoy your hard-earned paycheck, have fun. But don't get drunk on Maya. Detachment simply means enjoying earthly things while recognizing that they are 100% temporary. When your proverbial shoe tears, maybe you face a major setback at work or lose out on a promotion, don't let it destroy your core identity, because it is just part of the illusion. Remember that you have a true home and a real purpose way outside of this material labyrinth. And finally, you have to accept that one day nature will ask you to leave.
Honestly, this is the hardest, yet probably the most liberating truth we're talking about today. You do not belong in the mall permanently. Every single thing we acquire here, every title we hustle for, every object we buy, is just something we are interacting with while we're inside the building. It is a temporary lease. If we can just keep that in mind, we won't end up like those shoppers blindly fighting over stuff while ignoring the guards. We can walk through the mall with our eyes wide open.
So I want to leave you with this final, really provocative thought. As you go out there starting to build your careers and your lives, surrounded by all the beautiful, endless distractions of Maya, ask yourself this. When nature inevitably decides that your time in the mall is up, and it really is time for you to leave, what will you have actually gained? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this allegory helps you navigate your own journey with a little more clarity and a whole lot more purpose.